Welcome, welcome, welcome. Brett Hudson coming to you live from beautiful South Florida. And today is October 7th. Holy moly, time is flying. And I love this time of the year. October, November, December, my favorite time of the year. And I love heading into the fall season. Hopefully, everybody had a great summer. Listen, again, my name is Brett Hudson. I live here in South Florida. I love to read from spiritual books Monday through Friday at 12 Eastern. Same bat channel, same bat time. And yeah, if you love God and you're struggling with your marriage, your purpose, your health, your finances, this is a great place to connect. Again, Monday through Friday, we have an amazing Facebook group that complements the reading, close to 400 members. Everybody loves God in that community. Everybody has been through that valley per se at one time or another. You can't always stay on top of the mountain, right? Sometimes when you're in that valley, that's when difficulty is happening. That's where the lesson is happening. That's where character is being formed. Sometimes time is taking a lot longer than you anticipated. And, just staying in faith is hard, right? So the community is a great complement to today's reading and any of the other readings I do from here on out. But what we're covering Joel Osteen, Your Greater is Coming. I love Joel Osteen, been following him for a couple of decades. Drop a comment below if you love Joel Osteen, if you know who Joel Osteen is. I love his demeanor. I love how he comes across. I love his message. I love his books. To me, he exudes that, the fruit of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control, right? Have you ever seen Joel not in control, like out of control? Never, never. He's always the same 20 years ago when I followed him as he is last Sunday when I watched him. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's reading. We're in chapter 11. If you want to catch the previous replays, I post them in our Facebook group, which again is abundancewithgodgroup.com, abundancewithgodgroup.com. And remember that God is for us, right? He's not against us. He works all things for our good. All of heaven is attracted to Christ in me, as Christ is. So are you in this world, right? He takes us from glory to glory. And, even though we may be in that valley, he always brings us out better than when we went into the valley, right? And I like to call it an upgrade, right? It's a provision, but I like to call it an upgrade because he upgrades us when we come out of that valley. And, I can certainly attest marriage, struggle, finances, struggle, purpose, struggle. I've been through it all, and life is just like an ebb and flow thing, right? Sometimes you're on top of the mountain, sometimes you're in the valley. But the good news is God says he's in that valley with us. He'll never leave us or forsake us. I love the thing in the Bible when he says, I will not fail you, right? He said it 3 times. So that's our God, right? And I love that he just wants us to be morphed into his image, right? As he is, so are we in this world. And it just comes down to the fruit of the Spirit. So anyways, hopefully, again, if you're struggling with your purpose, your finances, your health, your marriage, it's a great place to connect Monday through Friday. Same bat channel, same bat time. The Facebook group is abundancewithgodgroup.com. What's my shirt say? It says, Jesus, just believe in him. Yep, that's all you need to do. Just believe in him and in yourself, and everything normally works out. But before we get into the reading, I always like to read something from the Bible, right? The Bible. And today's verse is Psalm 23:4. Psalm 23:4. And it says, even though I walk through the darkest valley. Is this odd or is this God? Did we just not talk about this? Something I read this morning too says, instead of regretting or resenting the way things are, thank me in all circumstances. In all circumstances. That's the good and the bad. Trust me and don't be fearful. Thank me and rest in my sovereignty. Man, I just read that this morning. It's so powerful. And so let me finish this Psalm 23:4. So it says, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they will comfort me. That's Psalm 23:4. I'll read it one more time. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So that's the great news, is that God is in it with us, right? He's in the difficulty with us. And there's a reason he might be moving people out of the way. Maybe he's preparing you for that upgrade we just mentioned before. But he does things in his timing, which is perfect timing. And, I've been through that time thing, and it's not fun when you're, 1 year in, 2 years in, just continuing to do the next right thing. And you feel like God doesn't hear your prayers, but God does hear your prayers. God hears your prayers, and he'll answer your prayers. So with that, I'm going to jump right into today's reading. I love the title because it ties right into what we just were talking about. And it says, everything serves his plan, right? Everything serves his plan. As scripture says, everything serves his plan. It's not just the good breaks and the promotions that serve his plan. The disappointments, the closed doors, the people who did you wrong are serving his plan. Without that happening, you couldn't reach your destiny. You have to trust the process. God's ways are not our ways. We see the bad breaks or the person who left us out as negative. But the truth is that all these are necessary to become who we were created to be. A friend of mine started a new business. He and his wife worked tirelessly, year after year, pouring their hearts and souls into it. I would call him in the evening, and he would be out meeting with clients several nights a week. They saw some success. It was profitable, but then they hit a limit. They couldn't seem to get past. At one point, the owner of the building where my friend's leased space for his company converted the parking lot into a big parking garage. Now his customers had to park off-site and take a shuttle. It seemed as though the harder he worked, the worse it got. His dreams were to leave the company to his children as a legacy of success, but after 30 years, they had to close the doors. He was so disappointed. He told me he felt like a failure. He was embarrassed, ashamed, and hurt. He thought, God, how could you let this happen to me? I gave it my best. I have nothing to show for all these years of hard work. For 3 years, he was not himself. He had been so positive, so full of faith, but when I would call, he didn't have any passion. He lost his fire. We all go through things that don't make sense, but God wouldn't allow it if it wasn't going to serve his plan. This is when you have to dig down deep and say, God, I don't understand this, but I trust you. I believe that you're still ordering my steps and that you still have good things in store for me. One day, a door unexpectedly opened for my friend to a position where he could use his gifts in a much greater way. He was so excited, he said, I feel as though the 30 years I put into my former business were not lost, but they were to prepare me for what I'm doing now. He calls his new job the position of a lifetime. The number of people he used to impact in a year, he now impacts in a day. God knows how to make all things beautiful if you just give him the time. If you have some things that you're disappointed about, that you don't understand, that they were unfair, just keep moving forward. God is not going to waste anything you went through. It feels like a setback, but it's really a setup. You're about to come out to new levels. You're going to go to places that you've never dreamed or gone or seen favor that you've never seen. Quit believing the lie that you've had too many bad breaks. God must have forgotten about you. You have a good reason to live sour. Look at what you've been through. That was all setting you up for something you've never imagined. I believe even now you're about to step into some of this beauty. The things that were meant to harm you, the struggles that have tried to discourage you, the people who did you wrong, the bad breaks that should have limited your life, the person that walked out in a marriage. God is turning it all to your advantage. This is a new day. God is doing a new thing. You're about to see vindication, restoration, new opportunities, and divine connections. The tide is turning in your favor. The potter never takes his hands off. There's a couple who attend Lakewood and who are very faithful. They've raised their son here, but when he went off to college, he started running with the wrong crowd, partying, making poor choices. One thing led to another, and he ended up with a drug addiction. His parents tried to help him, but he didn't want to have anything to do with them. He got to the point where he wouldn't speak to them or have any contact with them. It was breaking their hearts. They would come for prayer week after week. They couldn't understand it. They had done the right thing, but the wrong thing happened. They could have been bitter and complained, God, where are you? But they kept doing the right thing, being faithful, serving, giving, helping others. The scripture says God is the potter and we are the clay. There's nothing about clay. It's just an earthly material that develops plasticity when wet. But the potter puts the clay on the wheel and begins to spin it around and around. While it's spinning, the clay is wobbly, still has lumps, and doesn't look like much, but the potter never takes his hands off the clay. He keeps molding it until it begins to take shape of a vase, a plate, or a bowl. If someone came up to the potter and saw the clay going around, they might say, "You're wasting your time. That's just a lump of worthless clay. That's never going to amount to much." The potter would reply, "Just give me some time. You see clay and think it's a bunch of dirt, but I see something beautiful. I see a valuable vase." This young man was off course, making poor decisions, but God is the potter. He never takes his hands off the clay. Even though it's wobbly, even though it has lumps, even though it falls down and he has to reshape it, he keeps working. All those times when you thought God had forgotten about you, the truth is that God still has his hands on you. When you weren't making good decisions, when you were running around with the wrong crowd and giving in to temptations, he didn't throw you out because you're clay, because he found some lumps, because you have faults and weaknesses. His hands have always been on you. And the good news is that he's never going to take his hands off you. The scripture says his calling on your life is irrevocable. He's going to keep making you and molding you. In the same way, the potter's hands are on your children. They may get off course, but the potter doesn't give up on the clay. He just spins it around a little bit more. These parents understood what Solomon says, that there is a time for weeping and a time for loss, a time for disappointment. But that's not the end of the story. God also says he will make all things beautiful in its time. There's a time for restoration, a time for healing, a time for deliverance, a time for celebration. Their attitude was, God, we don't understand it, but we trust you. We know that you're in control. We know that you won't take your hands off our son. We know that you will keep making him and molding him. After 13 years of their son barely speaking to them, one day he called and said he wanted to come home and make things right. He came back to church and went to treatment. He's been free for 6 years now. Today, he's helping young men get free. If you stay in faith and you give God the time, he'll make all things beautiful. As with this couple, you may have relationships that are strained. You may have family members that won't have anything to do with you. You think it's always going to be this way. You're about to write them off. No, keep loving them. Keep being good to them. Keep praying, keep forgiving, and stay on the high road. God sees what's happening. He knows how to restore. He knows how to change people's hearts. Hands are still on them. His hands are still on them. They may need to go around the wheel a few times more. The timing is not up to us. It's up to God. Will you wait for his plans to unfold? Will you not get discouraged and say, when is it going to happen? Why isn't it improving? It just needs some time. When you understand this principle, it takes the pressure off. You won't live frustrated, wondering how it's going to work out. You'll say, God, everything is not perfect in my life. I'm waiting for things to change, but everything is not perfect in my life. I'm waiting for things to change, but I'm going to enjoy today, knowing that you're on the throne at the right time. You're going to make all things beautiful in my life. So that's a great place to stop. Amazing reading, very applicable to this reader this morning, going through my own challenges. And, hopefully you guys got some great value. Drop a comment below. I'd love to know if you love Joel Osteen, what maybe stood out for you. Again, I do this Monday through Friday at 12 Eastern. Same bat channel, same bat cave. My name is Brett Hudson. I live here in South Florida. We have an amazing Facebook group where we can connect further and you can catch the replays. That's abundancewithgodgroup.com. Welcome, Amy. Hey, Larry. Abundancewithgodgroup.com. And so just to recap what we read, it started off with a great title, Everything Serves His Plan, right? I read that to thank him in all circumstances, right? The good and the bad, to thank him in all circumstances and to trust him, right? Don't be fearful. God is not going to waste anything you went through, right? Just like this story where the guy for 30 years, right, and then ended up losing his business thinking he didn't have a purpose, and now makes more impact in one day than he did, I think it was yearly. All those times when you thought God had forgotten about you, the truth is that God still had his hands on you. The timing is not up to us, it's up to God. Will you wait for his plan to unfold? And remember, God hears your prayer. I like the title for tomorrow, Bitter to Sweet, right? Bitter to sweet. Maybe you're going through some bitterness now. Maybe you're in that valley, and you're praying and you feel like God doesn't hear your prayers. Remember this, God is for us. He's not against us. He works all things for our good as Christ is. So are we in this world. He brings us out of that valley with an upgrade, right? A provision for better, right? You're not going to come out of that valley worse. You're going to come out of that better. So just keep in faith, keep doing the next right thing. Know that it always works out. Trust God. Just believe in him, right? Jesus, just believe in him. And with that, be blessed. Have a great day. I'll catch you guys tomorrow at 12 Eastern. Same bat channel, same bat time. And bye for now.